So guys, we are back with another interview. Don't kill me. I haven't been here in a while with an interview with a couple, and I'm so excited about this couple. I was scrolling through Essence. I love reading their their wedding features on Wednesdays, and Sandy and Kareem popped up, and I read their story, and when they talked about the fact that they had waited, I knew I had to find them. So, I'm a waiter stalker. So I went and found her on Instagram and just asked her if she, would be willing with her husband to interview. And they both agreed. And so we have them here today, Sandy and Kareem. I'm so excited about you guys being on the blog and just, sharing your testimony. I think it's so awesome that you were even so open to share it on Essence, where it's more of a secular, publication, but you were willing to just share what God has done with you all even before marriage. So if you could just introduce yourselves individually and just let the people know.
First of all, thank you so much, Mimi, for having us. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're so excited to share our love story and our testimony, how we got here. Mm-hmm. My name is Sandy, Virgo, maiden name Isaac. Mm-hmm. We've been married almost a year and a half, I want to say.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years in October. Aww. And Yep. Born in New Jersey, raised in Florida. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Hey guys, how's it going? Kareem. Again, we've been married for 2 years, almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. Born and raised in West Palm Beach. From a Jamaican household, so I'm sure you could understand. The island folk raising you up is a little different than the standard.
Definitely,
family. But no, definitely, it's been a fun ride. I've been here my whole life in Florida.
Yeah.
I went to school back at FAU where I worked in accounting for a while.
Okay.
But I just kind of fell out of love with it, and then pursued wedding photography full time. And
awesome.
At school, that's where I met Sandy, and then history.
So you met in college?
Yes, we met at FAU.
Oh, so your college sweethearts?
No, kind of.
Only reason why I wouldn't say college sweethearts is because I had already graduated.
She was an alumni.
Yeah, I was an alumni. But we did
meet
at the college we both attended.
Right.
I was attending my college.
I was going into my last year, so it was like that transition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys are basically newlyweds.
Yes.
So how long were you all engaged before you got married?
We were engaged
a little over a year. So I proposed to her on her birthday.
Okay.
2017. Got married in October 2018. So a little over a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds about the same as my best friend. Okay. So
got
engaged about a year. Okay. Awesome. And how long were you guys dating before you got engaged and all of that good stuff?
So we always go back and forth.
Okay.
I would say since 2014.
2014. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were dating about 3 years?
Yes.
About 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And so prior to dating each other, how would you say your dating life was before, Sandy, you dating Kareem, you dating Sandy?
For me, my dating life, I would say not so many committed relationships. You would meet people and then, you start talking and then, there's feelings there, but then it never really lasted too long, or even if it did, it just would end and then kind of went on to the next one, hoping that it would be better.
Right. Okay.
No, same thing pretty much. None of them were really, I would say, committed. Just maybe a few months at a time, 3 to 4 months at a time, where it might have felt like it was going somewhere, but never really got to that point.
Okay. Now, do you think that's a South Florida thing? No, I'm being serious. It's very different than down here.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We're both raised in South Florida.
Yeah.
I would say maybe it's a South Florida thing. I don't know if it's a little bit of a millennial thing.
That too.
That too,
And I'm a few years older than Kareem. Mm-hmm. So in high school, I remember having boyfriends and girlfriends and having that conversation and waiting for that person to ask you, will you be my girlfriend?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Make it official.
Mm-hmm. When you get to college, it's like this exploring phase.
Right.
And this is not for every woman, but for me as a person, I always wanted to be in a committed relationship. If I like someone, I didn't want to date different people.
Right.
I didn't want to really, like, I would kind of stick with one person, and then it ended, and it's like, okay, how, I never dated, I guess that's the word.
Right.
I never really had several people that I would talk to and then actually, you know.
Right.
But I guess things change.
I think, I guess I asked that because I moved here about 10 years ago. Yeah, it's 10. This year will be 11. But I just see that it's so much more casual in South Florida. Like, people just kind of date around. You never really define what it is. It's just the fun. And I guess maybe the party atmosphere makes it where, you know, there's sort of that hookup culture.
Yes.
So where people are never really, like, I'm just talking to them. That's not really that serious.
Right.
You'll ask
somebody.
Right. One person will say that's my boyfriend, and the other person will be like, I mean, we're just kicking it.
We're just kicking it. And then if you bring up that question, so what are we? It like becomes this. You change the whole narrative of the relationship. You know, and it's like, to me, I never liked that part of it. You know, but at some point it did become like that.
Okay. And so with you, the both of you, when you both started dating, then did you like make that transition, like a clear transition? We're not just talking now, we're dating?
Yes.
That's when I knew, okay, this is.
So what was different with her then? If you know, before you were kind of dating a little bit, but you never really defined it. And then to make that definition with Sandy, I guess, what was the difference with her?
I don't know. I don't think it's something that one can really explain, like into like concise sentence, like, okay, this was the exact moment or what have you. But you kind of just know at a certain point that, wow, I really can't live without this person. Like, I feel like I can't function without this person, or when this person's not here, something's missing. Right. I think when it got to that point, that's when I was like,
that's awesome.
Let's keep this going.
Okay. And in your dating, okay, so when you talked about in the Essence story, you said, you know, you weren't waiting prior to engagement, but during engagement, you said you decided to wait, right? So once you got engaged, now did you all make that decision before you got engaged, or when it became?
Before
we got engaged.
Okay.
So we got engaged July of 2017, and honestly, I want to say the end of 2016, maybe December.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, things just, I don't know, things shifted in our relationship in a way, and personally, I dealt with a lot of there was something spiritual going on with me at the time. I didn't know what to call it. I know God was just talking to me in a way. At the time, I didn't know if I knew if it was God saying something in particular, but things just changed. Something shifted in our relationship. And I lost a really, really good friend of mine. That year, 2017, there was just a lot of spiritual battle. And I remember waking up one day and I'm like, Kareem, where do we stand spiritually in this relationship? Like, we knew we were good people. We knew that we loved each other. We knew we did things the best way we could, but like, I don't think we ever had that talk. I grew up in the church, and you know, there are times where you're kind of like one foot in, one foot out, and we never had that talk. Like, how were you raised? You know, there came to a point where we were living together, and it was more so for maybe financial reasons. And my mom, I'm Haitian, I forgot to mention that. My mom was like kind of giving me the side eye. And I'm grown, I'm like, Mom, no, I know what I'm doing. And it came to a point where his lease was up and he needed a place. He was either going to renew his lease.
He had a decision.
And my mom actually offered to have him come live in our home. And
to help save for the wedding, things like that.
But at the time we weren't engaged yet, but I guess in his mind he wanted to save and things like that. I was like, well, you know, let's go live with my mom. Let's go live in her house. She's barely there. But it come to find out, my mom ended up having to be in the house permanently. So living with my mother and my brothers, my grandmother,
as adults,
and it was just like something changed. But this was prior to them moving back to the home. I was just like, I don't want to have sex anymore. I just, personally, I don't want to have sex anymore. And I don't know where you stand, because again, I didn't know him on a spiritual level. In my mind, I thought he was either going to run or he would think that I wanted to be engaged right away, and that's not where I was at. I was just like, I need to evaluate myself spiritually, and it's either you're going to get on board or we're not going to be together.
Right.
Yeah. And right after that happened, it's just everything shifted. He got baptized. I went up to the altar. I rededicated my life. He followed. I didn't tell him to do anything.
Right.
I prayed about it.
Yeah. I mean, this was a time too where I was also battling some things spiritually, like with my business, and I was torn between making some tough decisions in life. And like Sandy said, that was a time where I got baptized, and I just got so much clarity from that time, and I was on board as soon as we had that conversation. There wasn't really any back and forth between whether or not we wanted to decide to go abstinent or not. We just said, I think this is best.
Right. So God was working on you all separately.
Yeah.
So it was like almost, as soon as you said something, it was just like,
it was almost
I
like,
was already there.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like when you date so many, like when you date different types of people, I didn't know what to expect. I kept saying, "Are you sure?" Like,
I could have been
like, "Are you?" I'm like, I know this is not where we probably should have started, but I was like, I know when I would have a husband one day that I would want a God-fearing man, someone to lead the household. Like, I feel like we did this all wrong. I remember having this like midlife crisis, and he was like, "You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, I those are areas in my life that I need to work on, and we worked on it."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you pointed out something so important with the way that we date these days. We don't ask the proper questions from the beginning.
Right.
So it's then like we're coming on the back end. And we're like, hey, I never asked you.
Right. There was no,
how deep is your relationship?
Like, what do you believe in? What are your sources? What is this? It's kind of just hopping straight into the fun of everything instead of the serious questions. The serious questions come later. Then it's like, where is this coming from?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think if we make the effort, because I think for a lot of women, I guess I can speak for women, we're afraid of pushing guys away by asking the serious questions up front, like, but I think it's really important if you really want a man to lead, or you want a man that's spiritually strong and capable, you have to ask those questions on the front end, because when you're in love and you're wanting to, maybe marry that person one day, then I don't think, that's usually not the good time to be asking those type of questions. But I think God did an awesome work with you all, because even in the way that it started, he finished it so well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And even you saying like, I didn't know like his family background and those can you talk about the importance of knowing those type of things in dating?
Oh yes, I definitely think that before you even start dating, you have to get yourself together. You know what I mean? Know yourself, and that way when you meet someone, you can kind of see how your lives are going to mesh together.
Right.
Every situation is different. God can put the two most complete opposite people together. If it's whoever's for you is for you. But I do think it's important to know how someone was raised.
Right.
How important is God to someone, that you can see how they are with their family, how they are with going to church, tithing.
Right.
The important things. Are they going to put other things before God?
Right.
Even loving you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would never want Kareem to choose me over God.
Right.
So those little things,
right.
Looking now back at it, I know we're going to try to instill those things in our children, but it's like, I'm so happy we're on a clear page now with these things, because I don't even know what our first conversation was, based off of.
I think prior to it was a little bit of a mystery. Sandy always knew, my religious beliefs,
right?
But I don't think she ever knew in detail, because I knew so much about her family dynamic, because I was always exposed.
Yes,
more
he
so
was
to
exposed
her
to my like I said.
So I knew a lot about their religious beliefs, their faith, how they are, because I met so many of her different cousins and uncles and stuff like that. In my case, a lot of my family isn't in Florida, so her being introduced to that dynamic was a little more blurry, because she was like, okay, how do you deal with so and so? How do you deal with this person?
Yeah, or how does your parents
how does
waking
your
up
parents,
at 4 o'clock in the morning? He'll be he would wake up to my mom praying at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Like, what do you think
would go
about
to church.
that?
He
Yeah.
would see us speaking in tongues or praying or me getting emotional while during praise and worship, and I would like look for those things in him, and I'm like, oh God, are you sure this is, you know what I mean? But it's just different.
Yeah.
He just
Right.
was never exposed to it, or he just praise is different.
Right.
Like those little things that we had to learn about each other, and
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome. And one thing you said was when you guys were dating, you're like, we're good people. You think that's enough.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of
Right.
our generation, we think the fact
Right.
that someone is a good person or,
Right.
they treat other people well, but there's so many other deeper things
Right.
spiritually
Right.
that has to come, like you said.
Yep.
Tithing. People don't think that's important,
No.
but you don't want a man that's not tithing to leave your house.
No.
Right.
Because he's the head and
Yeah.
he brings that curse into your
Yeah.
household.
Imagine if Sandy came upstairs one day and was like, "Oh, I think we should tithe," and I'm like, "What?"
Nah.
You see what I'm saying? Or nah, like, nah.
No.
Why would I do that? What's the point? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that would create a whole nother
Right. And we're already in
situation.
the marriage. I
And
remember,
imagine we're already married. And
I
that
remember,
happens.
like,
so
while we were engaged and we were like, saving for this wedding because we had a
Yeah.
really big wedding, and when you're saving for a wedding, you don't want to touch certain things. Like
Right.
whatever vendor has to get paid has to get paid.
Right.
And I was like, Kareem, I feel it in my heart that we need to we need to sow a seed. Like the amount was pretty high, and he didn't budge, and I was just like, thank you, God. You know what I mean? Some people would be like, no,
That's
like,
our wedding money.
what does that mean?
Right.
But like, and and there were so many things I never had to explain to him, because sometimes in relationships,
yeah.
even like if I was a single girl now, knowing what I know and trying to look for someone that's my equal, or I would think is my equal, it's a little, I don't want to say it's hard, but there's certain things that we think we know about somebody, but we really don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And I think even in us, you had some.
No, you're right.
I think even in us, when we say equally yoked, it's not just we're both Christians.
yeah.
Because not all Christians believe in tithing. Not all Christians believe in sowing a seed, or not all Christians believe in speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Like I've on the churches where they're like, we don't speak in tongues, don't y'all speak in tongues in here? Like, those types of things, and those things can cause a rift because when people don't understand what that means or what that spiritual practice means to you, then that sometimes can be a stumbling block for the other person. So I think it's even with that, like I maybe ask you at the end, like some of the questions you would have maybe asked in the beginning, knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
But let me see. So even in the agreement to wait, you guys said it was kind of just God did that thing, like worked on you. So I love that. I love that. In what ways did keeping sex out of your relationship benefit the relationship?
Man, I think it made us closer than when we were.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Definitely made us closer. It allowed us to have deeper conversations. Just that, I don't know, even though I feel like I'm a very physical person, like I like to be held and touched and things like that. There were just certain things we knew we couldn't do because we didn't want to trigger anything, but it allowed us to have more conversations.
Right.
Look each other in the eyes, and it's a little different when you're looking someone face to face than just touching, holding them, and doing other things. And we actually took it a step further of not kissing for a period of time, and that was even harder. You know what I mean? And those were things that I thought about it, but he came to me and was like, I think we should try this as well. God was telling him in so many different ways. So I'm like, okay, God, we could do this. You know what I mean? But it just made our wedding day so, like, I cannot explain our wedding day. It's not even us saying it, because we're bride and groom. Everyone thinks their wedding day is so amazing, which it is. But we had guests try to visit us at church to see, like, where did this come from? Like, like heaven.
I would like
down.
to know where you guys, like, where do you guys go to church?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like heaven came down. Like, I cannot explain.
I kid you not, at the altar, I didn't see. I saw everyone, but I didn't see everyone.
Right.
It was like just this aura of just God in the room. Like, that's all I felt. It's almost like I wasn't even standing there. It's almost like I was just in a whole different space.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like
Yeah.
our wedding day was so beautiful, and I don't know if it would have felt like that if we didn't do those things. I'm sure it still would have been beautiful, but God knew what He was doing, and even our premarital counseling waited. Like we had that discussion with our pastor too, and he was like, "Okay, you guys are waiting. You guys are not kissing. Those are great, but why don't we take it a step further, not live with each other before the wedding?"
So
we ended up
we had the
2 months.
we got this place about 2 months before the wedding. So I decided to just move in myself and Sandy stay at. That was hard too. So it was just, I don't know. Like, all right, good night.
Things just happened. We tried to get this place closer to the wedding date.
So that way we didn't have to be so far. But God was like, nope.
Take that test a little further.
Y'all got a couple months.
And during that time, like, what boundaries did you guys set in place? Because it's one thing to have never had sex with someone, but it's another thing to have had sex with them, and then now you're like, we're gonna cut it off and then wait. So for a couple who already had done it, like, what boundaries do you put in place so that you don't fall back?
Drinking. That was one of them.
I don't know, we didn't want to put ourselves in situations to get back to that point. So of course the touching, certain touches we weren't gonna do.
Right.
We didn't kiss.
Kissing.
Right.
Our environment, just placing ourselves in different environments. We spent a lot of time in the Word. We spent a lot of time. We did premarital counseling like every week. I don't know. We were busy. We were working too.
Yeah, we were working too. Luckily we were busy with a lot of work. Our life group at the time.
We had a lot of people hold us accountable.
That too. That too.
So
a lot of different factors. I mean, plus having your mom at the house and brothers at the house, it made it a little more felt a little more restricted in that sense, out of respect for the family. So,
but even though my mom still didn't really believe me.
No,
she was just
listen,
like,
Haitian parents never believe you. One of my friends, her mom was like, "Oh, see, like, are you sure you're not doing it?" It's like, no, we're really waiting. But one of my friend's mom, she just does not believe that we're waiting.
There's nothing you can tell them, I guess.
No.
To make them believe.
Now she's like from that wedding day, she was like, I can see God was definitely in it. And she was just, I'm proud of you. Like, the daughter that I tried to raise, like, ended up listening to. I mean, we have our ups and downs, and my life for sure is not perfect at all, but I'm just glad that God did what He did in us, and there's a testimony in everything. There's second chances for people to think, oh, your past is what dictates your future. No, it doesn't. And if you ask God for forgiveness and you change your ways, I definitely believe that you can get everything that God has for you.
And I even believe, like, our parents' prayers. It says, raise up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. A lot of us have been raised a certain way, but we go off the path. Like, a lot of us, as soon as we go to college, a lot of us, we go off the path. But I believe that those prayers sustain us. So there's that moment where God can speak to your heart, because the soil of your heart was already watered by your mom's prayers. So she literally, I don't know that parents take it seriously about how much influence their prayers have over their kids, because you have a right to say one day, God, I prayed for that child. And I prayed over her and him as a child, and I'm asking for you to bring them back. So I believe that, even in us, as we're becoming, getting married and becoming parents, valuing prayer in our kids' lives. So I think that's awesome that your mom is someone that wakes up at 4 a.m. and prays.
Every day.
Every
day. Trust me, I know.
Till now, don't stop.
One of my friend's grandmother, every day at 3 a.m.
Wow.
Praying. She said, if you're going to stay at her house, you're going to be 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think that's awesome that her prayers, like, literally, and the prayers of your parents, like, just really allow God to be in a place where He can, turn you back. Like, because, like you said, none of our journeys are perfect. And a lot of us are going to go off path, but I believe we'll always find our way back to the foundation of who we are. So I think that's awesome. Were you guys ever tempted to give back in to having sex again, or before marriage or before you guys got married?
Yes.
There were definitely times. Definitely.
There was actually one specific time where, like, I would say I actually felt like I was not the word risk at all, but it was like the temptation was strong. I don't think I ever really felt strong temptation.
Right.
Of course, I wanted to kiss him. I just wanted to feel that. Yeah. I think I was able to wait out the sex part, but under stress, under certain things, there was one specific time that was very hard, but we fought through it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't remember the time, but it was probably like a high stress time, or something happened that day, and that night we're just like, you know what?
Just throw it out the window.
We'll pray in the morning. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Now, why do you think God asked us to wait? Like, why do you think He asked us to remain abstinent?
I think God asked us to remain abstinent because our body is
it's our temple.
It's our temple.
I think He uses different ways to ensure that we're clinging closer to Him as opposed to our own needs, whether that's going out or whatever you want to eat or that move you think you wanted to make.
Right.
Was it through Him first or because you wanted to do it? So it's, especially that night, that was definitely because we wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
What God wants us to do.
Our bodies are a temple. Our body doesn't belong to us. Yeah. So when you give it freely, there's what is it called? Soul ties. Soul ties. Yeah. There's just a lot of things that you don't know what you're exchanging with people. Right. And again, God does forgive us. God can make us clean, but when we go through that, it's just a little bit. It's a struggle. Yeah. I feel like afterwards, some people probably still deal with certain things because of soul ties, and unless you're released from that, it's hard to get your body back to God's body.
That's awesome. I think even in with you all saying with your story, just shows like the redemption of God. Like even with this, how He still could make such a beauty out of your wedding day and just your marriage. Even if it didn't start the way He would have wanted, but because you brought it back to a place where you glorified Him and you brought honor to His name, I believe that God like smiled. And just like He said, like I feel like even in you guys talking about your wedding day, like you feel like the glory of God was there, like His presence was there. So I think that's amazing. And even in God asking us to wait, there's a place where we have to deny the very things that we want for Him. Like, is He worth giving up those things that we want?
Right.
Just to give Him glory, to give Him honor, and to say, I'm going to obey you, even though I really, really want to do this.
Right.
So, that's awesome. Do you guys have any final thoughts, any words of encouragement for any person that may listen or watch?
Honestly, looking back now, the words of encouragement I would say is, like you said, there's things that we have to give up. There's things that may be a struggle, but at the end of the day, you want to do what pleases God. Right. And don't idolize relationships. Don't idolize even waiting till marriage. Just know that this is something that God asks of us, and just continue to adore Him. Continue to stay in prayer. Continue to live your life the way God wants it, and then everything will just come back and work the way it's supposed to. I didn't know that Kareem was going to be the person for me, honestly. If it was up to me, the start of our relationship, I kind of threw all the dating things I had in my mind out the door. And I was like, I'm just going to date. I'm just going to do what they want us to do out there. I'm not going to take this guy seriously. But God made that person the person for me. I did not think that was going to happen at all. Right. And I just thank God that my mother's prayers, my prayers, having a good heart, a pure heart, everything will just align perfectly into God's will.
For sure. No, I think God has a way of speaking to us, and that little whisper, that little gut feeling you feel, or if you really feel strong in your spirit to do something, you know, that may be God talking to you to do something. Because I believe that there's a reason for everything. So there's a reason why me and Sandy ran into each other at that particular moment at school. There's a reason why she was already alumni and I wasn't. There's a reason why maybe, you know, my spiritual beliefs was a bit foggy to her, but hers was so clear because she was put in my life to bring me more to light, bring me closer to God. There's people in situations that happen in your life for a reason, and I think it's just up to us to kind of recognize it and pursue it further, because that may be God saying, hey, I'm trying to bring you closer to me.
Right. So. Now, I said that was the last question, but listen. Now, do you believe there's like one person for you? Because you said when you guys started dating, you had thrown it out the window, just kind of dating and just. So, do you believe like God has like one person for you? Because there's like a debate. It's like,
I feel like God could put different people in your life, seasonal people, to make you the person you are when you meet the one. I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like Kareem is the one for me. There's just too many things that I feel like only God could do that could place two people like us together. You know what I mean?
I agree. I agree. I think like you said, I think the certain people that you may have dealt with or have a relationship with was a building block to that one person that you eventually see yourself complete with. That makes sense. I agree.
Okay. Awesome. I think there's a one. I mean, sometimes I fluctuate on that. And then I'm like,
life.
You can kind of pick. But then I'm like, no, I really believe, especially when you see couples that mesh so well, their lives line up, their morals line up, the way that they think, the way that they act, the way that they balance each other. It's just almost like, how can there not be a one for
That's a good point too, because Sandy's belief in health, Sandy's belief in so many things in life that I'm just over here thinking like, oh yeah, you're definitely the one for me, because like some of the weirdest little things that we might believe we're on the same page about. So
whereas somebody else would be like, that's weird.
And we learn about something new about each other every day, and it just makes more and more sense every time.
You're like, yep, that's my wife.
That's my husband.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys did so well.
Thank you.
Okay, so let the people know what you do. If you have any business, anything you got going on, what are you guys doing?
Yes, we are a wedding photography team. You can follow us at Photos by Reem. That's Photos by REEM. And we also have a juicing company that we just started called The Green and Smile, where we sell organic juices. Fresh organic juices. And
and I also run a cleaning service with my mother called Miss Marie Cleaning, and you can follow us on social media. Our website is missmariecleaning.com, and we service the South Florida area businesses, and we do real estate homes, so move in, move out cleanings.
Oh, awesome. So guys, I will link every social media page below. I'll also link the article where I read about their wedding day. And if you can take anything from Sandy and Kareem, is that God literally can redeem any story. Like, that you haven't gone too far where God can't redeem you. You haven't done anything that's so bad that God can't forgive you. He can't, literally turn your life around. And for some of us, we haven't even done anything that's so bad that we think we can't. But whatever is even that tiniest thing that you feel like maybe God can't forgive me for it, or I can't turn my life around, He can. And He will bless you so much to show you that He approves of where you're going, approves of the way that you've turned your life around, and approves of your obedience. I don't think we put enough emphasis on obeying God, and even the smallest things, in Him saying, hey, turn left instead of going right to go home. And so I believe that God wants to redeem our stories, redeem our lives, and even redeem our bloodlines. So if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel, and definitely share with everyone that you know that Sandy and Kareem have this great story and beautiful love story that only God could write. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.